It is now my great pleasure to invite long-standing partner of Canada-Ukraine Chamber of Commerce and a strong supporter of the conference, Goldy Hyder, President and CEO of the Business Council of Canada, to deliver his remarks. Goldy, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Zenon, not just for having us here today, but for your leadership throughout what has been a difficult time. For those of you who have been here before, you have heard me speak year after year, indicating that this is one of the few places I wish I didn't have to speak. Because for the reason we're here, we know is not what should be bringing us together. And yet, here we are, year 3, entering year 4, and we're not sure, God forbid, there's a year 5 of the same thing. And here's my first hope, that next year we're in Ukraine doing this conference, the war is behind us, and we're able to look forward to rebuild Ukraine together. I was reflecting, you get all these prepared remarks all the time. I said, you know what, I'm just going to share how I'm feeling about things. With just having spent a day with some of the folks that are visiting from Ukraine, particularly yesterday, because the news dominates our perceptions of what's taking place or not taking place. Yesterday, we had a great opportunity to interact with some of the leadership of Ukraine, including our friend, the Deputy Minister from the economy. She has a long title. I just remember the economy part, agriculture, a bunch of things. But to hear from her some of the realities of the situation, some are hard to hear, others are hopeful. It was hard to hear about the mental health toll that's being taken place on the workforce. You don't read about that in your headlines. It was hard to hear about sleeplessness. It was hard to hear about the psychological impact that's taking shape in the minds of young people every time they hear a siren. What that means for them when they're not in Ukraine and they're somewhere else in the world and they hear a siren, how they panic or get spooked by the sound of that. But it was also good to hear that whatever it is that we have in our imagination about what's taking place in Ukraine, it's not as bad as you think. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from the people who every day are living through this war and are having to find a way to get through day by day and find whatever new normal that one can describe to be able to live their lives. It's hard to suspend your life for 4 years. People are still going to school. People are going to work. People are going to restaurants. People are going out. Life has to go on, but you can appreciate the impact that had on those of us in the room hearing those stories about the resilience of the people of Ukraine. And if there's one thing that history will record is, be careful if you engage with the people of Ukraine. You're in for a long fight, and they will win. When all is said and done, they will persevere. And that is what we're fighting for here. It's not just Ukraine, and it's not just the people of Ukraine. It is the way of life that Ukraine has that we all value, that we all respect, that we all cherish as well. So there's a lot more at stake here than simply the sovereign territory of Ukraine. It is about democracy. It is about the rule of law. It is about values. It's about principles. It's about the quality and the kind of life that we want to be able to leave behind for our children and our grandchildren. And so I find that when you hear from the people on the ground, they give you the inspiration. They give you the hope. They give you the reminder that we're not going to stop until this is over in our favor. And so here we are this morning, yet again, more news. Some suggesting it's a difficult path ahead. Others suggesting maybe there's some hope here. Time will tell. But I think one thing is very, very clear, that the people of Ukraine are not just fighting for themselves. They're fighting for us. And so we owe it to them to do everything that we can in our own space. And I've often reminded visitors here, my first interaction with Ambassador Kovalev when she first came to Canada as the Ukrainian ambassador happened weeks within her arrival. And I had said to my staff, I said, I have to wonder, why is she coming to visit the head of the Business Council of Canada? And when she came, she literally sat down, pleasure to meet, et cetera, and said, you must be wondering, why am I here to meet the president of the business? As a matter of fact, Ambassador, I am wondering. And she said, Goldy, there's 3 fronts to this war. There's a military battle. The military will fight that battle. There's possibly a political, diplomatic solution. The politicians and the diplomats will find a way to bring that to a conclusion, hopefully. But none of that eliminates the importance of the third flank. And that third flank is the economy. At the end of the day, we have to have sustenance and continuity and stability in our economy through all of this adversity. And that was 3+ years ago. So this is why we commit every year to partner with Xenon to make sure that people here in Canada, Ukrainian descent or otherwise, know that we stand with you in all 3 of those planks. But in my space, the space of business and the economy, we're honored and privileged to be a part of making sure that no one loses sight of the importance of making sure that when this is over, and it will be over one day, that the people of Ukraine can count on having a country that has the infrastructure that they need, the basic services that they need, and the safety and security that we all too often take for granted. So let me again thank you all for the contributions that you're making here in sharing our best practices, in talking about the way forward, in being able to lean in at a time like this and show that Canadian business and Canadians more broadly are committed to working in partnership with you hand in hand to ensure that victory is yours. Slava Ukraini.